Okay, so again, our lesson today, we're going to be looking at the powers of whole numbers. So for concept here, it says determine the value of x. If 3 to the x equals 9, then basically my x right here is asking like 3 to the what power equals 9. So 9 is 3 squared, so that means that x is actually going to equal 2. X is actually going to equal 2. So 3 to the what power? 3 to the second power is 9. That means x is equal to 2. So this is going to basically kind of be, lesson 9.4, sort of. We're going to go from like finding the variable in the exponent, and then it's just going to be a little more difficult than this, but essentially this is what we're doing for lesson 9.4. In today's lesson, we're going to be also looking at negative exponents. So negative exponent means you have a reciprocal power. So for example, 2 to the negative 3 is like 2 to the negative third over 1. So I can flip it, is the reciprocal. If you flip it over, is the reciprocal. When you do that, then the exponent becomes positive. Whenever you get the reciprocal of a negative exponent, it becomes positive, okay? And then 2 to the third, it's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then you can also go in reverse. Like if the exponent is in the denominator, you can flip it to the numerator and it becomes positive. Okay, so there's 2 to the negative third. I can flip it to the top and then it becomes positive. We will be looking at negative exponents today a lot. Okay, so for our first example, is everything there for you? Do you guys have boxes to fill in anything? Everything's there. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I like to start in the middle. Oh, something else I want to talk about that's not on the notes anywhere. Put like an asterisk here. So the power of 0 property means basically anything to the 0 power is always going to equal 1. So like a to the 0 power is going to equal 1. If I have 5 to the 0 power, that's going to be 1. 100 to the 0 power is 1. 1,000 to the 0 power is 1. It doesn't matter what you put in the base. If it's raised to the 0 power, it's always going to equal 1. Okay? So if I look right in the middle where I have this 2 to the 0 power, it's going to be 1. Anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. And then the power of 1, that's just 1, 2. 2 to the first is just 1, 2. So that's going to be 2. And then 2 squared, that's 2 times 2, which is what? 4. And then 2 cubed, that's 2 times 2 times 2. So 4 times another 2 is 8. And then to the fourth, I'm multiplying by 2 one more time. And then to the fifth, I'm multiplying by another 2. So 16 times 2 is 32. All right, then if you look at these powers and these powers, these are all negative powers, right? So I have the negative reciprocal power says, if I get the reciprocal of 2 to the negative 1, it's going to be 1 over 2 to the first. In the numerator, yes. And then 2 to the first is again just 2. So that's 1/2. Yes, that's fine. And then 2 to the negative 2 is the reciprocal 1 over 2 squared. But 1 over 2 squared is 1/4. And then 2 to the negative 3, that's 1 over 2/3, which is going to be 1/8. 2 to the negative fourth, the reciprocal is 1 over 2 to the fourth, which is 1 over 16. And the last one is 1 over 2 to the fifth power, which is 1 over 32. Now you guys don't have to write the red stuff if you don't want to. I'm just showing it because this is our first example, how it's the reciprocal power. It just flips to the denominator and it becomes positive. But if you notice the powers like of 1, the 1 and the negative 1, they go together. That's 2 and a 1/2. The powers of the seconds, like to the second power, those go together. 4 and a 1/4. Likewise with the cubed and the negative 3, that's an 8 and a 1/8. To the fourth, it's both 16ths. And then to the fifth power, they both have a 32. So they kind of go together. Basically, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Okay? It's just that the negative exponent tells you it's going to be 1 over the exponent. All right, likewise with the powers of 3 now. Let's go ahead and look at the powers of 3. Okay, so powers of 3. Again, I like to start in the middle so that I can multiply my way across. 3 to the 0 power. Again, anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. 3 to the first power is just 1, 3. 3 to the second is what? 3 times 3 is 9. And 3 to the third, we're going to multiply by 3 again. 9 times 3 is 27. And 3 to the fourth is times another 3. So what's 27 times 3? 81. Good. And then the negative exponents, again, it's just going to be the reciprocal power. So 1 over 3 to the first, that goes with this one. It's going to be what? 1 over 3. Good. And 3 to the negative 2 is 1 over 3 squared. 1 over 9. Is 1/9. 1 over 3 cubed is 1 over 27. And 1 over 3 to the negative 4. 1 over 81. Good. Okay. So the negative exponent's basically just 1 over the positive exponent. Okay. Okay. Let's look now at the powers of 4. Powers of 4. I personally, again, like to start in the middle. So which one should I start with? 4 to the 0 is 1. What's 4 to the first power? And 4 times 4 is, and then times another 4. So the negatives, you just flip them. 4 to the negative 1 is 1 over 4 to the first. 1 over 4 squared is 1 over 16. And 4 to the negative 3 is 1 over 4 cubed, gives us 1 over 64. Pretty straightforward, yes? That's just the negatives is the reciprocal, 1 over the positive exponent. Yes. I was just making sure nobody was that. Okay. Practice. You guys go ahead and practice this one with the 2's again. 2 to the negative 3, 2 to the negative 1, 2 to the 0, 2 to the first, and 2 to the third. All right, so double check your solutions. And you can see again, these are to the first, cubed, and a cubed. So those match together. A 1/8 and an 8, 1/2 and a 2. And anything raised to the 0 is always 1. All right, go ahead and try this one now. Powers of 3. All right, so again, here's the solution for this one. Double check you guys have the same ones. All right, now let's move on to the powers of 4. Powers of 4. Sorry, 5. Powers of 5. Did we already do the powers of 4?
No. Yeah, we did.
Okay, so now powers of 5. Again, you want to start in the middle. 5 to the 0 power is 1. 5 to the first is 5. 5 squared is 25. And 5 to the third is 25 times another 5 is 125. Yes. And 5 to the negative first, that's just going to be 1 over 5. 5 to the negative 2 is 1 over 5 squared, which is 25. And 5 to the negative 3 is 1 over 5 cubed, which is 125. Good. All right, next we have the powers of 6. Powers of 6. So starting in the middle, 6 to the 0 power is 1. 6 to the first is 6. What's 6 squared? 36. And then 36 times another 6 is 216. That's a bigger one. 36 times 6 is 216. All right, then 6 to the negative 1 is going to be 1 over 6 to the first, which is 6. 6 to the negative 2 is 1 over 6 squared. What's 6 squared? 1 over 36. And then 6 to the negative 3, that's 1 over 6 cubed, which was 216. Shh, quiet, please. Okay, powers of 7. Powers of 7. Do you guys know your 7s? No. Well, the biggest thing we need to know is 7 to the third, so not bad. 7 to the 0 is just 1. 7 to the first is, and 7 squared, and 49 times 7, 343.
What? That's gotta be really. What?
7 to the negative 1 power is 1 over what? 7. 7 to the negative 2 is 1 over 49. 7 to the negative 3 is 1 over 343. Awesome. Okay, next one, we're going to be looking at powers of 8. Powers of 8. So 8 to the 0 is 1. 8 to the first, 8 squared. And then 64 times another 8. 512. Awesome. Okay, then the negative exponent is just going to be the 1 over the power, right? So 1 over 8 to the positive 1 is 8. 8 to the negative 2 is 1 over 8 squared, which is 64. And 8 to the negative 3 is 1 over the 8 cubed, which is 512. Yeah. Because we wanted you guys to practice the powers, because then on the next 3 lessons or so, you need to know what those powers are. So we're kind of it's like a preview to the next couple lessons. All right, so we want you guys to practice now with this one to the 5 power. All right, so here are the solutions. One more time, double check. All right, so now we're going to move on to like the second part of the lesson. The second part of the lesson, we're going to go like backwards. So this time we have the whole numbers, and this time you have to put it as a power of 2 this time. Okay? So I'm giving you guys the whole numbers and rational numbers and stuff. So now we're going to go in reverse. We're going to take the rational number and we're going to make it into a power of 2. So all of these will have a base of 2. There's going to be 2 to the something, 2 to the something, 2 to the something, 2 to the something. All of these will have a base of 2. I just have to figure out what's my exponent. So 32 is 2 to the what power? How many 2's gets us to 32? 5 of them. Good. How many 2's gets me to 16? To 8. And then to 4 is 2 squared. 2 is 2 to the first power. And how do I get a 1? 2 to the 0. Good. And then the fractions, remember, is negative exponents. So because all of the rest of them are fractions, all of them are going to have a negative exponent. So 1/2 is 2 to the negative 1. And then 1/4 is 2 to the negative 2. 1/8 is 2 to the negative 3. 1/16 is 2 to the negative 4. And 32 is 2 to the negative 5. All right, next is the powers of 3. So I want you guys to go ahead and see if you guys can do this one. Powers of 3. All of these will have a 3 to the something power. All right, so I think I'm going to stop with the practice part of it. I'm going to skip the last 2 practice ones, and we're going to move on to closure now. The closure, just because I want you guys to notice that some of these can be written in different powers. So like, for example, in the closure says to write 81 as a power of 3 and also as a power of 9. So if I take 81, that's 3 to the what power? And then I want you guys to see that 81 can also be written as a power of 9. So that's 9 to the what power? And 3 to the what power? Likewise with the 1/16. Tell it to me as a power of 2 and a power of 4. So 1/16 is 2 to the what power? And 1/16 can also be written as 4 to the what power? So go ahead and see if you guys can get those 4. All right, so how many 3's do we need to get to 81? 4 of them? Okay. And then 81 is 9 to the what power? To the second. Okay, and then 1/16 is 2 to the what power?
Negative 3. No.
-4. Good. And then 1/16 is 4 to the what? -2. So I wanted you guys to notice that again, fractions are negatives, exponents. And for closure, sometimes you can have different numbers with different bases. All right, so that is the end of the lesson for today. We have what bell rings at 31, right? So we have about like 15-ish minutes, less than 15 minutes for you guys to work on the assignment. You should be able to finish the assignment. It's already posted on Classroom, so you guys can turn it in when you finish.